So to go back, you mentioned that the arts really thrives on martyrs. So did you
Oh
see
no.
yourself as saying like that you didn't want to be a martyr, or tell me like the connection there in terms of that realization you had and then shifting out of the arts?
Yeah, I mean there's just a point where as much as you want to be like, I do art and it's great, there's a point you have to pay your bills. There
Absolutely.
is. And there's a point where I was tired of just struggling all the time. That's all there is to it. I worked in nonprofits, you know, even teaching. Like I taught it at NYU, and that is one of the top universities in the United States. It has
Mm-hmm.
the second largest undergrad theater program in the world. No, it might be
Wow.
actually be the largest in the world. And I made less than one student's tuition for the year.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's tough in New York.
Absolutely.
Like I worked at NYU and also worked as a bike messenger.
Sure.
Fun bucket list job. But like, you know what I mean? Like, should that be the case? Maybe not,
Maybe not.
But yeah, there was a point where now granted, I will also point out I did have an opportunity to join the union and I didn't take it because when I first moved to New York, I never wanted to live in New York. When I first moved there, I thought I was moving there for about 6 months. Because I was dating someone who was going to go to the Culinary Institute there. That was a 6-month program. And I was like, cool. So I didn't even bother getting into theater when I got to New York. I actually was tour guiding at that time. I worked as a tour guide in New York. And then eventually I kind of just like, suddenly I was in New York for 10 years. It was like one of those, where I'm like, what is going on? I'm still here. And at that point I had been a tour guide. I had been a nanny. I had gotten back into theater. I had been teaching. I was at Columbia for about a semester. Then I went down to NYU for 3 years. And while I was at NYU, so when I was at NYU, I was in my early 30s at this point. And fun transition time. I was starting to get back pain, and I was starting to get a lot of sort of repetitive motion injuries that happens a lot in the trades, even like techno theater's trade work.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that time period, I actually started weightlifting, and I was steered towards CrossFit in a way that I find the universe likes to do, this personal belief of mine, that if like 3 different people who were completely unrelated, didn't know each other in random different parts of my life within a course of 6 weeks told me to do CrossFit. And I was like, okay, world.
Sure. I guess
I
do
guess
it.
I'll try CrossFit. And I lucked into going into what was a very good gym at the time. And it changed my world. So talk about a different coping mechanism. Not only brain clarity from working out, better energy, better focus, less chronic pain for sure, and also helped me in my job big time, and so that was very good. And so while I was working at NYU after I was bike messengering, when I quit that job, I ended up learning to coach and started coaching part-time. And then I left that job at NYU and ended up coaching full-time for several years until I was eventually offered a job at the University of Colorado. It was just an interim position for 1 year. And I left New York and went there. And that started us on a magical tour across the United States where I went Colorado, Michigan, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah.